Why do white people pay so much attention to black people if they don't like them? You would think if you didn't like something, why would you be paying attention to it?
To my family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men.
Oh, Lord have mercy. If you say that one more time, I'm going to choke out of you when I see you.
Just when the Shannon Sharpe situation couldn't get any crazier, that $50 million lawsuit starts spiraling. And Katt Williams steps in with receipts. When Katt Williams opened with that unforgettable question, if they hate us so much, why can't they stop watching us? It wasn't just a clever punchline. It was a warning shot. Right from the jump, he wasn't just talking about casual racism or everyday bias. He was calling out a deep, unsettling obsession that runs through American society, especially in media and entertainment. And at the center of this uncomfortable truth, he put Shannon Sharpe, a man who had built a second empire for himself after his NFL days, only to now find himself surrounded by whispers and controversy. Katt didn't waste time making small talk. He pushed the idea that Sharpe wasn't caught in a scandal by accident. He was placed there carefully by powerful forces who prefer to stay in the shadows. The idea that a successful black man could just get attacked out of nowhere isn't something Katt buys, not for a second. Instead, he paints a much darker picture, a world where media narratives aren't just spun, they're carefully engineered, surgically designed to tear down people at the exact moment they become too influential. And the worst part? This wasn't some random smear job. According to Katt, it was a cold, calculated move by people he wasn't afraid to call out by name. But before we get to the who and why, Katt made it clear. Shannon wasn't the first target, and he sure wasn't going to be the last. So who exactly are these so-called gatekeepers that Katt Williams keeps warning about? They aren't some cartoonish villains hiding behind velvet curtains. They're real people with real influence, sitting at the crossroads where entertainment, news, and power all quietly merge. Katt describes them as the hidden hands that decide who gets elevated, who gets shunned, and when the public needs a new scandal to chase. According to him, these figures aren't just protecting their interests, they're policing the cultural narrative itself, making sure certain people never get too big without paying a price. And for those who refuse to play the game, the gatekeepers don't just block opportunities, they actively dismantle lives, reputations, and legacies. Katt hints at a pattern most people don't want to see. How stars who were once beloved can be turned into pariahs overnight, with orchestrated leaks, carefully timed coincidences, and friendly media hit pieces. When you step back and look at how many prominent black figures have suddenly found themselves under siege after hitting new heights, it doesn't seem random anymore. It starts to look like a blueprint. And now, Katt warns, Shannon Sharpe has been slotted into that blueprint whether he realizes it or not. But it wasn't just vague talk. Katt had specifics in mind, and he wasn't shy about sharing them. When Shannon Sharpe exploded beyond sports media into full pop culture relevance, becoming a household name on platforms like Club Shay Shay, he didn't just gain fans. He gained enemies he couldn't even see. Katt points out that Sharpe's increasing influence made him a problem for the gatekeepers, not because he was reckless, but because he was becoming too relatable, too powerful, too independent. That's why when private conversations about race play suddenly leaked involving Sharpe and a 19-year-old woman, it raised Katt's suspicions immediately. It wasn't just the content of the leak that was shady, it was the way it was framed. Only one side of the conversation made it to the public, carefully edited to leave context out, to make Sharpe look predatory or reckless without providing any balance or explanation. Katt argues this selective leak was surgical, a professional hit designed to trigger outrage without giving Sharpe any space to defend himself. He makes it clear, in this kind of war, the truth doesn't matter. Optics do. And when you realize the goal isn't justice, but character assassination, everything about how Sharpe's story broke starts to feel a little too clean, a little too planned. But if you think this leak happened by accident, Katt's next revelation will make you think twice. Enter Tony Buzbee, the high-powered attorney with a history of taking on cases that just happened to bring powerful black men crashing down. Katt Williams didn't just mention Buzbee in passing, he called him out as a key player orchestrating attacks like the one now closing in on Shannon Sharpe. Buzbee's name might ring bells from past high-profile lawsuits and scandals where the pattern always seemed eerily similar. Allegations strategically leaked, careers torpedoed, and public opinion weaponized before any court case even finished. According to Katt, Buzbee isn't just chasing clout or justice. He's operating in lockstep with forces that thrive on keeping power structures tilted in their favor. By tying Buzbee's moves back to figures like Jay-Z, Katt wasn't just throwing out accusations. He was connecting dots that most people hadn't even noticed yet. He paints Buzbee as less a rogue agent and more a loyal soldier for bigger hidden interests. And if Buzbee's fingerprints are now all over Shannon Sharpe's situation, it suggests Sharpe is caught in something much deeper than a personal scandal. He's stuck in a machine designed to break him down. But what's most chilling is that Shannon had a chance to avoid all of this, if only he'd heeded a very public warning. Rewind the clock a little, back to when Katt Williams sat down face-to-face with Shannon Sharpe on Club Shay Shay. It wasn't just another celebrity interview. It was, in hindsight, a full-blown warning shot. Right there, with cameras rolling, Katt tried to tell Shannon, in plain language, that Hollywood doesn't play fair, that if you open the wrong doors or trust the wrong people, you're setting yourself up for disaster. He spoke candidly about the dangers lurking behind the smiling faces and the shiny offers, about how the same entertainment industry that hands you fame with one hand often holds a knife in the other. Katt practically begged Sharpe to be cautious, to guard his private life like a fortress, especially when it came to women and casual relationships that could later be twisted into weapons. Watching it now, knowing what came next, you can almost hear the urgency in Katt's voice. A man who's seen too much, warning someone he respected about sharks circling just out of sight. But despite the clear warning, Sharpe seemed either unwilling or unable to change course. And now, the exact kind of trap Katt described has snapped shut around him. If you think Shannon Sharpe's situation is isolated, Katt Williams would tell you you're not paying attention. 2024, he says, isn't just another year of scandals. It's something deeper. A mass unmasking where the dirty secrets of the entertainment elite are spilling out faster than ever. Celebrities once thought untouchable are suddenly getting hit with allegations, exposes, and lawsuits left and right, often with suspiciously well-timed leaks and anonymous sources. Katt's brutal phrase, "the fall of big D**CK deviants," is his way of pointing out that reckless, entitled behavior that used to be protected by money and fame isn't getting covered up anymore. From Diddy's sudden collapse to a dozen other smaller bombshells popping off, Katt frames it as a massive realignment happening behind the scenes. In his eyes, the gatekeepers aren't just cleaning house. They're sending a message. Nobody's safe. And that includes people like Shannon Sharpe, whose biggest crime might have simply been underestimating just how cold-blooded this industry can be. But Katt says the reckoning isn't finished yet, and the next phase will be even uglier. Katt pushes beyond individual scandals to shine a light on the machinery driving them. He argues that the attacks on figures like Shannon Sharpe aren't random acts of chaos. They're strategic moves by a system desperate to maintain control. When powerful black men start building their own platforms, controlling their own narratives, and speaking directly to the public without a filter, they become dangerous. And the system responds the only way it knows how, with takedowns dressed up as accountability. Katt describes it as a chess game, where every pawn, bishop, and rook is aligned against anyone stepping too far outside the lines. Every leaked message, every viral rumor, every sensational headline is part of the same toolkit. And for people who think they can simply play the game better and avoid trouble, Katt offers a brutal reality check. The house always wins. If they want to humble you, they will, no matter how smart, rich, or beloved you are. That's why Sharpe's fall feels so orchestrated, because it probably was. But according to Katt, there's still one wild card they can't fully control. Through it all, Katt Williams positions himself as something rare, a truth teller operating without a leash. He's not backed by billionaires, he's not protected by Hollywood, and he's certainly not following a PR script. That freedom allows him to say things nobody else will touch, even when it makes him a target too. Katt sees himself less as a celebrity and more as a reluctant prophet, trying to shake people awake before the hammer falls even harder. His style, blending brutal honesty with razor-sharp humor, makes his message land with people who would otherwise tune out conspiracy talk. By putting himself on the line, naming names, connecting dots, and refusing to sanitize his message for corporate approval, Katt forces uncomfortable conversations into the mainstream. And if he's right, if Sharpe is just the latest casualty in a much bigger war, then the importance of having someone like Katt telling these stories becomes impossible to ignore. It's easy to dismiss celebrity scandals as tabloid noise, but Katt insists they reveal something much scarier for the average person watching at home. If people as famous, wealthy, and connected as Shannon Sharpe can be framed, dismantled, and discredited with a few strategically leaked texts, what hope does the ordinary person have when powerful interests come after them? The attack on Sharpe isn't just entertainment drama, it's a demonstration of power. Katt warns that the same tools used to destroy public figures, surveillance, selective editing, media manipulation, are increasingly being normalized and expanded into everyday life. Cancel culture isn't about accountability anymore, it's about control. And the longer people sit back and pretend it's just celebrity gossip, the more vulnerable they become when their turn comes. In this view, Sharpe's downfall isn't just his personal tragedy, it's a preview of how ruthless the next decade could get for all of us. In the end, Katt Williams leaves viewers with a stark choice: wake up or get crushed. His final words, "The truth is the light," aren't just a slogan, they're a challenge. In a world designed to keep people distracted, divided, and in the dark, finding and speaking the truth becomes a revolutionary act. Shannon Sharpe's situation, messy and painful as it is, shows what happens when people mistake visibility for power without understanding the forces watching from the sidelines. Katt's message is clear: survival in this new era requires more than talent or charm. It requires vigilance, independence, and an unbreakable connection to reality. Because sooner or later, every lie crumbles, every mask falls, and every secret drips out into the light. And when that day comes, you'll either be ready, or you'll be one more name on a long growing list of those who didn't see it coming. If you find this breakdown eye-opening, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Because the truth they don't want you to hear is just getting started. Drop a comment below. Do you think Shannon Sharpe can survive this, or are the gatekeepers already too powerful?